My name is Lahiru Dewendra. I'm from Sri Lanka. I started this project about 3 years ago. Back when I was actually studying to be a doctor, a typical brown family thing. My parents wanted me to become one. Maybe I did, but yeah, I lost my school. I couldn't afford it anymore. So I was thinking on what to do, and I had a lot of pressure, but also a lot of ideas. I knew a lot of creatives and individuals in Brno who ran businesses and did inspiring things, and I figured I want to share their stories. And those stories even moved me to move forward with this project. So I bring to you the Brno Gs. We stand for Inspiration for All Gs. A G, it comes from my love for hip-hop, but we're not referencing gangsters here. But we're talking about Gs as inspiring individuals like these folks over here. With Brno Gs, I struggle quite often on a daily basis. Even last night I was losing my mind, like, is the sound gonna be okay? Trying to figure out microphones. I was texting Dan, yo, Dan, can you get this? And then we found out that everything's already set up here. So
I was asleep, actually.
Yeah, so one of my biggest problems is the financing my project. And I quite often struggle to even break even, that I'm at a loss every other month, funding various videographers, funding equipment or projects, etc., etc. Like, I'm just creatively exploring, it's not paying back, and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, I think essentially the job is to innovate, right? Like, you're expected to wake up every day and to think of something new and bring something new to the table rather than just to process through the same system daily. And for me, it's more important to schedule all of the things that put me into a creative mindset rather than the creativity itself.
Everything is interchangeable or connects with each other, right? Because as you've mentioned, when you invest more in your relationship, that pours back into your creative sphere as well. Does that apply to two of you?
Absolutely. I love to surround myself with a variety of things that could inspire me, and that also leads to a fuller life. It helps to know your bigger why. So knowing the why and remembering it on the hard days,
right,
when it's not going well, that's very important for me. And also knowing that there will be a day tomorrow.
For burnout as well, maybe going back to your past question, as soon as you're tackling topics that you're not so comfortable with or not so well versed in, it's very easy to get frustrated, and that will definitely impact your creativity.
Do you think it's realistic to build a stable creative career in this city, or is it more of a stepping stone?
Yeah, I think Brno is a great creative ecosystem. I mean, it has the highest spending per capita on culture in the whole country. Yeah, I think also cost of living, you can appreciate that this city's cost of living is still somewhat affordable.
I'd love to add one more thing about that. I think it's specific to the Brno community of this sort of like DIY stubbornness we have in this community.
Just be innovative. If you're gonna take the risk to push a project that's so personal for you forward, I think settling for the middle ground, in my opinion, just isn't worth it. And you can always work for a bigger company to do these middle ground activities and make a lot more money and be a lot more secure.
We have Murray, who's a fantasy writer. She transforms heavy realities such as that of communism. In her latest book, I hope I'm getting this right, Beyond the Curtain. Despite her having a background in law and English, she took a step in being a creative and writing. And then we've got Olga, who runs a flower atelier / shop, who was also doing a completely different job before, filing visa paperwork and stuff like that. And finally, last but not least, we have Daniel right here. Daniel, who was a ballet dancer for majority of his professional life, is now the creative directive of Vitamin Culture Center and Infame Radio, that hosts many talk shows and electronic music artists from all over Europe. So, this question is open to any of y'all. What originally pulled you into creativity and pursuing this journey?
I mean, I think for me, working in a creative sector like the ballet world from the beginning of my professional career, as you so rightly stated, led me down the rabbit hole of continuing to just explore my passions and find ways to turn them into viable careers. I moved away from home at 14 to train at the National Ballet School of Canada. So I think always this allowed me to almost prioritize my own wishes, as crazy as that might sound, but and really go for exactly what I saw myself doing. And then one opportunity leads to another, and all of a sudden it fills your whole life essentially. This is everything that I do. Everything I do is creative, and I'm lucky to be able to select my career paths based on what I'm passionate about.
Okay, wow, that's really intriguing for me. So right from the start, right from the get-go, you've been pursuing a creative journey. I mean, it's your life, whole life basically right now.
Yeah, totally. It's my whole life,
Yeah.
other than my family and friends.
Yeah. Great.
But ultimately, I think if you have a supportive family and friends like I do, they also become part of that creative journey and inspire you along the way.
Wow, that's wonderful. For all of you that probably don't know, Daniel was dancing at the National Theatre of Brno as well, and in Munich as well.
Also in Munich and also in Stuttgart as well.
Great. All right, how about you, Marie? Why don't you tell us?
The story is basically the opposite. So I've been writing since I was 12, 13, but when I was 18 and deciding on a career path, I listened to my parents and I decided to study law and become a lawyer. And only when I turned 30, I was like, okay, let's give this a chance. And I'm only 1 foot into it, so I still keep my work. I'm employed part-time. So I'm right now, standing on the line with 1 foot there and 1 foot in the creative business, and we'll see how it works out.
Wow, okay. How about you, Olga? How did it begin for you?
For me, creativity was something I was always looking for, but actually it was just a hobby always, just something not really serious.
Right.
So in the contrast with the office job I did before, it was something that I said I need a fulfillment in my life, and I want to somehow make works together things I have passion for, and things that can give me, I don't know, money and some this fulfillment. So
Right.
was actually the aim.
And if I'm not mistaken, now your whole life, right now, you run the flower shop, and that supplies you entirely financially, or do you do anything on the side as well?
No, it's just flower shop.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. And maybe this question can be directed towards both of you, Daniel, as well, since you're both fully employed creatively. Does having the pressure of making money ever limit your artistic capacity or capability?
As an owner of flower shop, sometimes it does, because not all the projects are about I feel it like this way, but sometimes it's just like it's an order for money. So I need to make this, and some things like my vision is not always the thing which finds understanding in the people. So it's always a balance between something I want to create and something people want to have.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I always go back to the point where I don't think it's any harder to survive as a creative in terms of making a living. I think there are lots of other job industries that are just as hard, if not harder, to actually make a living and stay competitive within. And I also think that here in Europe, there's access to so many different funding opportunities. Of course, if you have the privilege to be able to access them, which I do, that can keep your ideas alive and let you pursue exactly what you want to pursue. And then, I mean, there's a whole other can of worms to open, like whether you're creating programming that is accessible and interesting for other people, or if you're just doing it for yourself. I think there's a lot more considerations that come along with choosing exactly what you want to do.
We're back in a second. You're leading a platform which is where other people, let's say, are employed and working as well. So what kind of pressure does it add to you when you have to make creative decisions for the art based on how it looks and how it sounds, or being forced to make that decision because you know that there are people relying on you and needs to get paid, for example?
Yeah, that's an interesting interesting question. How do I want to tackle this? I mean, again, maybe looking at my own practice and the way that we've structured our work at Vitamin, we work extremely collaboratively. So I think everyone is welcome to bring ideas to the table, and then it's up to everyone's expertise to make these ideas viable, essentially, right? But I think it's this old communal concept of, okay, I've brought my idea to the table and I'm relying on other people to make that idea a reality. So then when someone else's turn comes, I pledge the same sort of commitment to that work as well. Mm-hmm. I think without this inherent, unspoken commitment from everyone on our team to support one another, our project could not survive. So maybe getting back to the question, there is a lot of creative freedom that comes from making these decisions and deciding what sort of projects we're going to focus on. But the flip side of that is supporting other people when they make a decision that maybe isn't so personal for you, and making sure that those ideas can thrive as well.
Right.
And we tackle it like that. Of course, you can have more commercial structures for an artistic project that revolve around, top-down management, but that's never really a model that we were interested in creating.
Right. So there is no inherent hierarchy in the organization, but rather...
No. There's definitely a hierarchy, but maybe not creatively. I think financially, there's definitely a hierarchy, deciding where the money goes, but creatively we are in it to support one another and see ideas through.
Wow. It's a wonderful thing. I mean, I want to highlight how the amazing things Vitamin has done in bringing communities together, a lot of people, for example, through the Vitamin Market as well. If anyone's ever been, when do you guys have it? Spring? Yeah?
The next one is at the beginning of June, actually, so in a couple weeks.
Yeah, cool.
At Kumst.
At Kumst, cool. And Murray, how's it like for you? You said that you still have a full-time job and then writing's your side gig, right? But by the looks of your book, it's quite an extensive amount of work. So how do you balance time for that, plus work, plus the Expat Center, right, which you're also part of?
So I'm employed at the Expat Center,
okay,
so that is the employment, and it is only part-time, not full-time, although it did not look like that this month. So this month is a bad one to ask, because putting this together took full-time and twice or 3 times that much. So I'll try to remember how life was 2 months ago. I'm a morning person, so splitting your time, your schedule is the way to do it. And you dedicate time for priorities first. You have, for me, creative writing blocks in the morning. And once that's done, then I can go and do with the operatives at work. But you have to start with your priority. And that's the way. That's the only sort of functional way I found to try to do 2 things at once.
Okay. I mean, I relate to that. I'm a morning person now as well. I used to be a night person. Now I stopped drinking, so everything shifted. Now I'm a morning person. But I guess it's always important to block out a certain time of your day where you explore your creative tasks, right? Does it apply to each of you as well? I mean, Olga might be different because you're...
Yeah, exactly.
Can you describe how the process could be like for you? For example, I don't know what it's like to create a beautiful bouquet, but is it that your client tells you they want this, this, and this, and then you go ahead and create it, or they just tell you go ahead, freestyle?
It's both, but I have to say that me and my colleague, we are lucky enough to have clients who trust us, and most of the time they really trust and they just say okay, I have this vision that it should be more tender or more bright bouquet or something like this, but it's up to you guys, and I believe that you will make it the best way it's possible.
And perhaps this is particularly for Olga, but maybe for all of you, something with creatives and burnout. Quite often you can hear from a lot of creatives, I'm just creatively exploring, it's not paying back, and I'm exhausted. How do you guys get through it?
Yeah, I mean, I think essentially the job is to innovate, right? You're expected to wake up every day and to think of something new and bring something new to the table, rather than just to process through the same system daily. And for me, it's more important to schedule all of the things that put me into a creative mindset rather than the creativity itself. I always hope that the creativity kind of comes naturally just because of who I was raised to be and who I've kind of become. So it's more about scheduling the things that take you out of that mindset and almost reset you so that you can come back into a productive zone. And I don't want to pretend that there's a one-size-fits-all for these sorts of kind of alternative activities that can get you there. But for me, it's going for walks, going to the gym, talking on the phone with my mom, eating good food. That's extremely essential. And spending time with your friends as well.
Yeah.
There's all of these kind of daily tasks. Well, it's crazy that I just call them tasks, but daily activities that really put you into that mindset and allow you to then innovate as you're expected to be doing.
Everything is interchangeable or connects with each other, right? Because as you've mentioned, when you invest more in your relationship, that pours back into your creative sphere as well. Does that apply to the two of you as well?
Absolutely. I love to surround myself with a variety of things that could inspire me, and that also leads to a fuller life. So, it's a good balance. It's not only for the writing, but it's for my own life too. But I also know that it helps to know your bigger why.
Right.
So what sort of stuff I want to create and what sort of impact I want it to have on people around me who will read it. So knowing the why and remembering it on the hard days,
right,
when it's not going well, that's very important for me. And also knowing that there will be a day tomorrow. I know that it's a cycle, right? And sometimes you are at the bottom of it and it's just not going smoothly. And it's very important to know those tools and those moments that will just lift you up. So just moving along the cycle and knowing what works for you. Yeah.
And what is your why?
My why, so I want to write entertaining books, but I also want to write books that make people think, that make them pause at the end of a hard day. So I write fantasy, which is supposed to be entertaining, which is supposed to let you escape to a different world. But I would also love it to be something that gives you time to think about harder questions, about human science, about the way people communicate. So that's why I sort of write more like a political intrigue for fantasy. So I always compare it to, I love hearing about politics, I love reading about human science, but in the morning when my brain is fresh. But at the end of the hard day, I go and I listen to talk shows, sorry, how do you call that?
Late night
shows, thank you.
Yeah.
That sort of digests these topics for you and they're easier to think about. And I think fantasy and fiction altogether can do the same. So it can pose hard questions, but it can be entertaining, so you want to open the book at the end of a hard day. So that's my why.
It's interesting that you would prefer when you're fresh to hear about politics right in the morning. It would give me a headache. I
combine it with running, so you run and you listen to what's happening, and it's sort of on the balance.
So compared to the running, the politics are easy.
That's the way. Yeah.
Stress and de-stress. We're back in a second. If I may ask, Olga, do you have a why of why you do?
Yeah, sure. For me, it's also important to have this work-life balance, but it's really tough since having a flower shop is about being there from morning till evening, and then still some work to do at home. But I know that it's necessary to have a rest and some slow days, so I can still create and not just be in this routine and just do the same things every time. I don't know, for me it's actually some slow mornings, some meetings with friends, and now it's relatively a fresh thing. I have a dog because it really helps me to go for a walk and just to yes exactly she's here it's here she's so here. That really helps just to get off the just processes and to have this more creativity mood.
At you, Dan, is there a why of what you do, or you just love it? And
yeah, I just love it, I think.
Profound.
I wake up and feel excited to do this every day.
Yeah, I got you.
Or almost every day.
Yeah. Same here. I mean, with the project with Brno G's, I struggle quite often on a daily basis. Even last night I was losing my mind, like, is the sound gonna be okay? Trying to figure out microphones. I was texting Dan, Dan, can you get this? And then we found out that everything's already set up here. So
I was asleep, actually.
Yeah, so yikes. But anyway, one of my biggest problems is the financing my project. And I quite often struggle to even break even, that I'm at a loss every other month, funding various videographers, funding equipment or projects, etc. What's something either of you could advise me that could help either keep my sanity and maybe perhaps steps towards breaking even in creating a creative project, if there even is an answer?
Silence.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of different ways to finance your project, but also maybe staying aware that although we operate within the cultural scene or the cultural industry, Jesus, I hate that word, but we do. We operate within a capitalistic society, so I think maybe also understanding the regular structures of a business outside of the cultural sector, right? There's someone who is doing creative direction for this business or kind of like motivational direction for this business, and then there's someone who is doing finances for the business as well. So investing in someone that you trust that maybe is outside of the cultural sector to actually get your finances moving forward is always a good investment in my opinion.
Okay.
I think you have to understand the limits of your own knowledge and find someone who is more knowledgeable in doing that task specifically. It's really the same as in any other sector for me. It's just that you need to avoid conflicts of interest at the same time, which are maybe less of a thought process for more capital-driven enterprises.
I always talk about wearing two different hats. So I have my head of a creator, and then I take that hat off and I put a head of a marketer, a business owner, and that person talks and communicates and thinks differently. And you talked about breaking even. So me personally, I'm not nowhere near that, but that's the plan. The plan for this year is to, whatever money we make, we push back into the engine for marketing and for selling more books. So I think setting yourself with realistic goals, so you can sort of not only judge things on feelings, but you can also judge things on numbers.
Right.
And knowing a bit how you're doing and knowing what the goal is for that time period. Okay, this is not that's not the creative head talking, that's the business head talking. Yeah. It helps me to get organized and to feel like, okay, we're doing fine, even though the numbers are very much red. Right. This is the plan. Right. So. And sometimes it's not going fine, but you at least know how to get back on track. Yeah.
Right.
If I can add, I would just really agree with this. But for me, it works that I have great luck for my co-owner of a flower shop, Annette, because I like to say that I'm the soul, I'm this creative, maybe something, and she's the heart of our flower shop, and she is exactly the person who actually just drive all these moments. And sometimes when I'm too high in the skies, and she just says like, no, it has to work also. So just be a bit grounded, and that's so it works. Yeah. But I was lucky enough to have someone for this exactly, like just to maybe not to be on my own, like someone who actually has this side.
Yeah, I think this is also a major consideration for burnout as well. Maybe going back to your past question, as soon as you're tackling topics that you're not so comfortable with or not so well versed in, it's very easy to get frustrated, and that will definitely impact your creativity. So it's great if you have a partner who is, making up the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Definitely.
But yeah, I would just say find that person.
So for anyone that's listening out there, well, in video eventually, and also right here. So it's like finding your person who's, well, got a, I guess, financial background, maybe thinks more logically about the whole process, or becoming that person yourself and wearing a different hat. Okay, let's get into a bit about creativity, finances, and Brno. Do you think it's realistic to build a stable creative career in this city, or is it more of a stepping stone, do you think? And maybe this can go directly at you, Dan, because you're particularly traveling quite often for various jobs, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of these creative careers, especially in the age of social media, are also quite founded online. So I think as long as you have a stable internet connection, you know, we've all heard of this digital nomad topic before. That's also very visible when you're traveling around these days. I think Brno is a great creative ecosystem. I mean, it has the highest spending per capita on culture in the whole country. I don't know, like, of course, maybe these numbers mean nothing to you, but in reality, they mean quite a lot, and they mean that the city is quite committed to funding creativity and culture. I mean, we have a whole department in the city that is versed around creative cooperation and the creative industry as a whole, right? So I think Brno is a great place to be situated in light of the global cultural crisis that is unfolding around us.
Right. So if you got a project in mind, don't be afraid. This is the city. Do it.
Yeah, the city, the Expat Center, your peers. There's lots of great cultural centers in the city that you can approach to speak about your project. I think everyone is welcoming for a conversation unless they're in a total burnout. Going back to that again. But yeah, I found the city extremely welcoming, and once again, stable internet connection. You're also connected to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to add, that at the same time it can be a great stepping stone to then grow, because these days, at least when it comes to book industry, it's all about social proof. And we have the community here that will help you build the social proof for whatever project you have, and then you can go and scale up, I think. So yes, exactly as Daniel said, this is a great environment to be starting in, and with the potential and prospects of growing out of it also quite high.
Yeah. I think also cost of living. You can appreciate that this city's cost of living is still somewhat affordable in light of you know, the general cost of living crisis. Once again, crisis word. But yeah, as soon as you kind of make the step to quote unquote find that next level and move to a bigger hub, there's a lot more pressure on your practice to succeed because the stakes are higher. There's more money that you need to have access to every single month, and there's a lot more competition. So maybe if you take the time to really build your practice and then you still envision yourself moving to a larger hub, you can at least have taken that time here in Brno to really create something that's resilient and also of worth within a global context, right? Because as soon as you're in that bigger hub, all of this competition is coming from global perspectives, and you really need to envision what you're bringing to the table on a much larger sense.
I'd love to add one more thing about that. I think it's specific to Brno community, and because I'm staring at that building across the courtyard, the Expat fair, I think today is a great example of this sort of like DIY stubbornness we have in this community. I think lots of people just decide that they will do something without the proper budget for it, and they will just go and they will find a way to do it. I think that works very well in here. The community is supportive enough for these projects to really be successful, because you just pose the question and you will usually find someone to collaborate with you and help you to get there. So this is a bit of an insight into the backstage of this event. We have very, very small budget. Like almost more than half of the exhibitors in that building are not paying a crown to support this. And the few exhibitors who are, they pay very little, because our goal for this is not to make money, make profit, but to bring as many people together as possible. And the only way that it's possible is that people are just willing to make it happen. It is a bit of a punk situation, but that is fine. And we have an army of volunteers who are not paid in anything but coffee and food. And suddenly this thing happens with very little budget. And I think that's true across several projects, communities in Brno. So, yeah.
So if I can take anything out of what you both just mentioned, is that not to be afraid to take a risk, because you could have a lot of support at the end if you really reach out to people.
Exactly,
out
reaching
there.
out and speaking out about your idea. I think that's the first step. Don't keep it in your drawer, in your mind. Speak out, and you'll probably find people who will respond to it with their own vision, ideas, possibilities.
Okay, we just got a few minutes left. In Brno Gs, we're about inspiring all Gs. So I'm gonna ask the classic cliche: is there a piece of advice or anything that you could tell to someone who might be on their journey, thinking about starting or taking the next step? What could help them?
I think I'm just going to repeat myself. The first step for me was to speak out about my idea. So when I decided to drop to working part-time and going for it, I told my friends, I told my family, and it was just the next time they saw me, they started asking, how is it going? And I needed to have a new answer for them. Otherwise, I felt guilty. So sort of include others into your ideas for the peer pressure and for the usual checkup.
Okay, thank you.
So my answer would be totally cliche as well, but you just have to listen to yourself, just find what you really love and what you really want to do in your life, and there is always a way. As a person who started from actually zero, I didn't know anything about flowers, like never growed a flower in my life before, and now I'm a owner of flower shop, and it's really a part of my life, a big part of my life, and it really fulfills everything I do every my day. So it's just you have to know, or just to find your way and do what you love. That's the secret, I guess.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Dan, is there?
Yeah, I think just be innovative. If you're gonna take the risk to push a project that's so personal for you forward, I think settling for the middle ground, in my opinion, just isn't worth it. You can always work for a bigger company to do these middle ground activities and make a lot more money and be a lot more secure. If you're gonna do it, just really do it. Keep your friendships active, keep the community around you, and go for it.
Yeah, wow. A lot I can even take from it. So thank you guys. It was a pleasure, and thank you everybody else who listened in. I hope you got something out of it, and I wish you all the best. Peace.
Thank you.